Does brown water coming out of the campground spigot kind of terrify you? Well, if it does, and it probably should, you are in line because we are going to test some of the top inline water filters on the market. They are widely available through big box, Amazon, and other online channels. So some of the brands that we are going to test in the next day or so include this RV Guard, Camco TastePure, Aqua Crest, which I believe was the Amazon brand, Clear 2.0, and Kohree. So a little bit about each of these. The Camco TastePure has been our go-to for the last several years, really the whole time that we've been camping. We've seen the Clear 2.0 out in the store, and I've thought about buying one. Now I had a good reason to test it and see. This RV Guard and Aqua Quest were both a couple that looked like they were readily available, had good reviews on Amazon. And then Kohree, we recently tested a Kohree drinking water hose, and the hose performed very well. On our second use, I had a little bit more water out of it. The water tasted fantastic. It was a little bit easier to roll up the second time. So ultimately, we are going to test these 5 different water filters and see if there's any difference. We're going to use some water testing kits to do that, and we're going to also enlist the help of the family to do a little bit of taste testing on the water from each of these. Hey, I am going to go ahead and start unboxing all of my inline water filters before the test. And we're going to see what's in each of the boxes and what you get for your money. So this is the Kohree water filter. And so this water filter, the pure water from Kohree, has large capacity. It lasts 3 months, prolonged if not used every day, prevents bacteria, has a KDF carbon, which prevents bacteria growth while the filter is stored, which for campers, that's a fair amount, has a high flow rate, and then it includes a list of all the different bad things, ultimately, that it's filtering out, like aluminum, bad taste, cadmium, chlorine, odor, mold, all kinds of stuff like that. So let's go ahead and crack this open, and there's 2 filters inside here and one, and then if you wanted, you could use these stickers. This is nice to put that on your filter, and then you exactly when you put this filter into service. And then we've got some instructions here, the advantages of using the Kohree Pure, Kohree Pure water filter here. So fairly standard looking filter, can hear a little bit of the carbon vibrating around inside of there. So go ahead and set that out of the way. Now let's move over here to the Camco TastePure filter. Again, this one claims it's the #1 RV water filter in America, multi-stage filtration to protect against bad taste, bacteria, odors, chlorine, sediment, and more. It tells us we've got 2 filters. They have a patent on this. And then similar, it lists out all of the different items that we are filtering out here. On the back, we include a description and illustration of the carbon and the different layers within this filter. So we have a filter with a little screen on it. Then we have some pre-filtration layers, some carbon, KDF additive, post-filtration layer, and so forth. So we have quite a bit going on there. I suspect it's probably pretty similar to the Kohree filter. Let's go ahead and get this one open. They won't mind. So inside we have 2 filters branded to Camco TastePure. A little bit, let's see here, includes a lot of just different information. They have a date where you can write the date on here when you place the filter into service. They claim that the product is made in the USA. And we have a few items like, do you change your water filter as often as you should? a certificate of performance, so on and so forth. So we're going to go ahead and stick one of those back in. This water filter, the Aqua Crest, this was a filter that was highly rated on Amazon, pretty basic filter. It came in this box here, which I've already opened. You would just have to write the date on here. They don't necessarily give any stickers or other things. This is nice, these little hose extenders for the spigot to have. And then we have some operating instructions, installation instructions. So go ahead and slide this guy out of the way. All right, next we have our RV Guard water filter. So this says long-lasting bacteria inhibition, high flow. We have two of these. It tells us it meets certain NSF and ANSI 42 material safety. So there we are. It's BPA free. See what the package includes, and then again, some list of the different protection that this RV Guard filter is going to provide. We have some illustrations of the different layers that they claim are inside of here. And then again, it says average lifespan should be about 3 months, but that's going to depend on how frequently you're using this, how well you store it, and so forth. So we've got that. Let's go ahead and open this RV Guard filter up here. And you can see we have this green filter. It tells us the direction of the flow. They all do that, which is good. But truthfully, you can only hook it up one way. So there's that. We have a second filter in here. We have some instructions that we may want to include. We have, what is this guy? Thanks for selecting RV Guard, so on and so forth. Great. All right, and then finally, we also have some stickers where we could place the date in service on the filter. So that's actually nice, very similar to the Kohree stickers that we saw earlier. All right, and then finally, we have this Clear 2O filter. This is a marine and RV inline water filter. It says superior performance 1 micron. The others didn't necessarily say 1 micron in our test. We're going to see if that matters or not. And then again, it talks about how to install this. It gives us some very high level, eliminates sulfur odors, reduces contaminants, so on and so forth. And then here it gives us the list of all the items and contaminants that the filter removes. What's nice is all of these filters do come with the ends covered up. So as a consumer, we know that hopefully nothing bad has gotten in there. Again, there's no place on here to specifically write the date. So you might grab your magic marker and write the date on here with a Sharpie, just so that you can track when you put this into service. Frankly, we never do this. I try to change them out once a year. Sometimes I'll change it a little bit more if I notice our water starts to taste kind of nasty. So anyway, these are our 5 filters. We have the Clear 2O. We have the RV Guard. We have this Aqua Crest. We have the Camco TastePure. And then finally, we have the Kohree Pure water filter here. So we're going to go ahead and get these hooked up to our hose, and we're going to test these 5 against our sample, which will be Louisville's finest tap water. So what I am going to do now is, well, I'm going to go ahead and start labeling our filters here so that we can track what water is going in which place. And then lost our seal. So that's number 1. So this little screen came out, which it goes in here. This is important. It keeps sediment from going into the filter and allows the filter to do its job in case there's sediment in either your hose before it gets here or coming out of whatever the campground water source might be. So we have that. So next up, it's going to be our RV guard. Next, we'll do this Camco Pure Taste. All right, this is the Aqua Crest, number 4. Okay, 4. And last, again, some of these, like the Kohree, this RV guard, the Aqua Crest, they were wrapped in cellophane, which again is nice because now we know this filter hasn't been tampered with since it left what was the clean factory. So again, as a consumer, that should make us feel really good that we've got a good clean product for ourselves and for our family here. So number 5, perfect. So let's go ahead and go out to the hose. We'll get our Kohree drinking water hose set up, and we'll connect our filters here to the hose. Again, this is Louisville's finest city water, and from there we'll start doing some of our tests, and we'll have the all-important taste test from our taste testers, which are Sarah, Madeline, and Jack, and we'll see what their palates pick up. So what I am going to do now is, well, I'm going to go ahead and start labeling our filters here so that we can track what water is going in which place. And then lost our seal. So that's number 1. So this little screen came out, which it goes in here. This is important. It keeps sediment from going into the filter and allows the filter to do its job in case there's sediment in either your hose before it gets here or coming out of whatever the campground water source might be. So we have that. So next up is going to be our RV guard. Next, we'll do this Camco Pure Taste. All right, this is the Aqua Crest, number 4. Okay, 4. And last, again, some of these, like the Kohree, this RV guard, the Aqua Crest, they were wrapped in cellophane, which again is nice because now we know this filter hasn't been tampered with since it left what was the clean factory. So again, as a consumer, that should make us feel really good that we've got a good clean product for ourselves and for our family here. So number 5, perfect. So let's go ahead and go out to the hose. We'll get our Kohree drinking water hose set up, and we'll connect our filters here to the hose. Again, this is Louisville's finest city water, and from there we'll start doing some of our tests, and we'll have the all-important taste test from our taste testers, which are Sarah, Madeline, and Jack, and we'll see what their palates pick up. Hey, this is Mike, and we are outside now, so we're going to go ahead and get set up for our test of the water filters. And with it, you can see we've got our blue Kohree hose, we've got all of our filters here, and we have our little sample cups. So let's go ahead, and we're going to grab, so we're going to start with this guy. We're going to hook it just straight to the hose to make it a little bit faster for us. So we're going to start with number 1, which is going to be our Kohree Pure drinking water here. This is model 1639, and let's go ahead and get this set up here into the jungle. All right, so we're going to turn each of these on for a second just to let any kind of nasty stuff come out, which it kind of did, which is perfect. So now we know, let's go ahead and twist this on, which works out perfect. So now we're going to turn our hose on. Here I am, back again. All right, I can hear the water coming. All right, so we can see this water is nice and clear coming through here, so good flow on it. So I'm going to go ahead and fill up our cups. All right, there's number 1. Next time I'll probably turn this down just a shade. All right, so our cup is overflowing, but nevertheless, there we go. So item number 1 is done. Turn that water off and go ahead and disconnect the hose here. All right, so this water looks nice and clear and no odor to it. So everything looks good. We're going to see how it tests out in a few minutes when we go back inside. All right, number 2. I think that's number 5. Who's number 2? Number 2 is a clear 2O water filter. Take off these little caps here, and we'll go ahead and get this guy hooked up. So same thing. We're just going to run a little bit of water through here just to get any carbon to push through the filter. And I think that's always a good thing. Once you see that water coming clear through the filter, it's a fine time to go ahead and hook up our main drinking hose. So we're going to turn on water here, and we're going to let this cycle through for a few seconds here. Hopefully you just kind of flush out the hose, if you will. The hose was pushing out some water there, so gargling a little bit here. But either way, we can see this water is also really nice and clear. So we're going to go ahead, and now it's been running for a few seconds, so I think we've probably pushed through our water. We'll go ahead and fill that up. Pressure seems to be a little easier. So there's number 2 down. So this was our clear 2O water filter. And with the clear 2O, again, it says it takes it down to 1 micron. We're going to see if our tests pick up anything different, or if the water tastes any different at all because of that at least claim that clear 2O is making here. All right, so we have moved on to filter number 3 now, which is our Camco TastePure, and we have that hooked up, and we're going to go ahead and turn this water flow up just a little so we can actually get a little bit that we're seeing here. I have the water pressure down really low, so otherwise this water would be flowing very well. But the water's coming out very clear, looks really good, and we're going to go ahead and fill up our little sample cups here. Right, second sample cup. So the reason we're filling up 2 of these is because one cup is actually going to be the one we run our test with, and the other is going to be the one we pour into our little drinking sample cups and let our taste testers, Madeline, Sarah, and Jack, take a test and let us know what they think about that water. So here we go. We're getting ready to switch over, and we'll do water filter number 4, which will be our Aqua Crest, which this was one of the Amazon recommendations. So I've never actually heard of it or used it. So this will be the first time we go for this filter here. All right, so go ahead and take off that Camco filter. Take out these little plugs here, one on each end, and screw this filter on. Perfect. Oh, undo our hose here. I want to run that cement through there. Interesting. So the water coming out of this Aqua Crest is coming out with a lot more force than some of the others. The other filters, the water came out more gentle, if you will. So I don't know. We'll see. We're going to run some water through here. Just get a sense what this water looks like. But that was filter number 3, was our pure taste, and line looks like it's now clearing. So this is on the Aqua Crest filter. This water is nice and clear. Hopefully you can see that behind my hand, and I think it's run through enough to push out all of the other water. So we're going to go ahead and fill up our sample number 4. All right, excellent. So that's our Aqua Crest sample, and we're going to go grab and put on our RV guard filter next and go ahead and see what we get there. So seriously, go someplace else. Let's run the sediment out of this filter. This is our RV guard filter. Again, the water coming out the clean end looks good, and appears that we're all good and clean here. So we're going to go ahead and hook up our Kohree water hose. There we are. Okay, we're going to bring this Aqua Crest. All right, we'll let this water run through for a second. We have all of the others. Looks like now we're on the clear end of this. So give it a second for this to get a good flow again. So it looks like we have a nice good flow. Again, I have the pressure really low just so that it makes it easy for me to fill up these cups. There's not a lot of reason for me to run it high, but there's no doubt in my mind that we could run these as high as we need to. That would not be an issue. So we're going to go ahead and fill sample cup number 5 up. And sample cup number 5. So what else would you use these different filters for? Well, you could use these for watering your plants because you want to make sure you're taking out any contaminants. You could use them for washing your car to help enhance the spot-free rinse. So there's a lot of different things that you can ultimately use these filters for besides just RV camping. So we're going to go ahead and turn off our water here and unhook our hose and go inside and do our test. All right, we are back inside and we're going to go ahead and do some test of the water quality. So we have our test kit that we ordered from Amazon. These little strips will dip in each of the cups and see what everything we'll see what it all looks like. And then we also have our 4-in-1 water tester, which will tell us the temperature of the water as well as how hard the water is. And we'll see how each of these compare filter to filter and go from there. And then we'll grab our little digital taster or tester here, turn this guy on. So right now it's 0 parts per million. It's green. This thing can read up to 500 parts per million. And this would test the hardness of water. And then it would also tell us the temperature of the water. So first one is cup number 1. All right, so that has turned up. This is 229 parts per million. And let's see, it tells us it's 22.5 degrees Celsius. So we'll have to do a little conversion there. So parts per million, I think this is hardness, was 229. The temperature was 22.5 degrees Celsius. So which is 71 degrees. Just press the button again. So then our hardness was 29 points. So we're going to go ahead and reset it. We'll move to number 2 and stir that around a little bit. And number 2 has parts per million of 221 parts per million. So a little bit lower, not a ton. Again, I think this only tells us how hard the water is, not necessarily how pure or much else. Water temperature here was 69, almost 70 degrees. All right, we're going to reset it again. And back to 0. We'll go to number 3. Swirl that around. Hop down. All right, try this again. So number 3, we're at 207 parts per million. And our temperature was 68 degrees. 207. All right, moving on to number 4. Wow. So this was 190. So that's our lowest so far. Each of these we seem to be getting a little bit lower. Hit hold on that. Our temperature was 67.4. So we were 190 parts per million there. Interesting. Number 5 might be our highest one, 234 parts per million. So 234, and our water was 67 degrees. 234 and 67 degrees. One last one here. All right, so interesting. This was a 201, so 67 degrees. Awesome. Perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and test for these different metrics here, like chlorine, total hardness of the water, mercury, zinc, lead, pH, so on. So we'll see where this all comes out. The colors on here aren't terribly different as it moves through the scale, so we'll see how this works. Oops. So first one, so we'll go ahead and get all of those submitted. Or submerged, I guess. And now we have that. So we have to turn that. Probably shouldn't touch it that much, but so you can see how that lines up. So our total hardness is probably around this 50. The chlorine. Looks like there's not much in there, which is good. So you can see how this is all shaking out. We're gonna leave that sample by cup number 1. Get out another kit here. And we have sample number 2. You can see here on our fluoride that it's actually pretty dark. Our pH looks fairly dark. What about lead? So it looks like lead is right on that 0 mark, so hopefully feeling good there. Leave that right by number 2. Number 3, the hardness looks like it's about 50. The chlorine looks to be about 0. Iron looks to be about 0. So those are pretty low. This chlorine parts per million looks like about 0.5. We've got lead that looks like it's pretty darn low, which is good because I don't want to take in any lead. I'm not sure what some of these things are, but this fluoride looks pretty, I guess, pretty decent. And then you've got carbonate. Who doesn't want a little carbonate in their water? Oh, good. Now we know all right, sample number 4. That hardness looks like it's about 50, but the rest of these look pretty similar, especially the ones that I think you care the most about, which would be chlorine or lead or copper. I don't think you want any of those hard minerals in your water. And then we have 2 more. So number 5. So again, these look pretty similar, which isn't surprising considering this all came from the same tap water source, City of Louisville tap water. Now, if you're going around to different campgrounds, you might see different results from city to city, state, some that might be on wells versus city water source. And if that's the case, having a kit like this in your RV might be important because you may decide that you want to drink bottled water on a particular trip, or you may decide that you would rather up your filtration system beyond one simple inline filter and go to a dual or a 3 or more stage filter with an under sink filter as well. So a lot of options, but having some information is definitely going to make you feel like a better consumer, make sure that you're putting better products and better water into your body. Following our taste test, how did these all stack up? So we ranked them on odor, clearness, taste, and we wanted to just see, and then we also just kind of ranked which ones we thought were the best once we had sampled everything. So our number 1 was this RV guard filter. We thought that the taste of that water was the best. In a close second was the Kohree drinking water filter here. This one, water tasted fine. We really liked it, and all of the metrics came out pretty good. Total solids dissolved was a little high compared to some of the other filters. For example, the Aqua Crest had a total dissolved solids of 190, so that was actually the best one. We like that, but this one, the taste was really good. So definitely would recommend that, especially considering the value for your dollars there. The next one was the Aqua Crest, which this was an Amazon recommendation, and it was a good filter. Again, this one had total solids dissolved of 190 parts per million. Temperature was 67, and we'll show the actual metrics in a bit. So we had that. The number 4 choice was City of Louisville tap water, which is always a favorite of ours. We had one of our tasters, Madeline, who didn't care for it being quite so warm. She says she has to have it out of the fridge that comes out of the filter. Number 5 was the filter that we use pretty much since we started camping, which is the Camco TastePure water filter. I think after the results of our test here, we probably go ahead and switch between the Kohree water filters, which are an excellent value, and the RV Guard filters. Those are good value as well, available on Amazon. And a little surprising, pulling up the rear was the Clear 2O water filter, which I know gets pretty highly recommended from a lot of influencers. But I tell you, like, this filter, honestly, I'm probably not going to use it again. It didn't stack up real well. The water just flat didn't taste all that well. And if I look here, from a total solids dissolved, it was 221 parts per million. Um, and honestly, this filter has a premium price tag on it. And for premium price, you would expect to have far better taste than this one had. So I honestly would not buy another one of these. I would definitely go with the Kohree drinking water filter, or the RV Guard, or even consider that Aqua Crest. So a lot of good options that we had in our test sample here.